Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Claire.
And I'm Alisa. Nice to meet you. So maybe we've met some of you already in our live classes, or maybe you've seen one of our previous recordings. But if not, we're happy that you've found us today, and we're excited to do some movement together. Just to give you an idea of what to expect today, we tend to incorporate sort of a combination of mindfulness, dance, and yoga and breathing practices into these classes. So there'll be the opportunity to sort of sink inwards and check in with your sensations and your breathing. We'll do some light stretching and mobilization through movement. And we'll do some creative movement as well, with and without music. And there'll be the opportunity to share in that movement. And if we were live, we would be able to see your movement, but there'll still be the opportunity to create your own movement material and share it in the space. So yeah, we look forward to getting started. And I'll pass things off to Claire. She has a few more notes before we start.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Just to note that the music we'll be using, we do not have the rights to it. It's just for creative purposes, and feel free to mute it if you prefer to just put on your own music and just dance around. That's great as well. And on that note, the class is intended to be as accessible as possible for you. So it's about what feels good in your own body. We're not medical practitioners. We're just here to offer you our own experiences and training backgrounds. But that basically means take what works for you and leave the rest. Any options we show or alternative movements we offer are just suggestions. And at the end of the day, we encourage you to listen to what feels best in your own body. And on that note, I invite us to find a comfortable position. If you would like to have your feet on the ground, whether you're standing, seated, you can be lying down. Or if it's more comfortable for you to have your feet off the ground, that's also an option. Just finding a position that allows you to feel rooted down and grounded in your body. And softening the gaze or closing the eyes. Just coming into the presence with your body in this moment. We're aware of the connection that technology allows us to have here together today, and want to honor that while also honoring the space that we're physically embodying as well. And taking moments to look away from the screen and to come back into yourself, or to come into the space you are inhabiting with your body. So in this moment, with the eyes closed or the gaze softened, I encourage an awareness of the other senses, of the space that you are in, your internal space of your body, the vessel that's carrying you through life, and your external space, the physical environment you're existing in right now. Noticing any sensations internally within the body. There may be feelings of tension or softening, areas of discomfort or openness. Just noticing in your own body where you're feeling sensations and what's coming up. And in the external environment, how this connects to the body, sensations of light or sound, textures, what do the materials your skin is in contact with feel like? What is the sensation of standing or being seated or lying down on a surface and feeling your weight supported by this surface? Are there any distractions? Just acknowledging those and allowing them to be what they are. And just coming in to awareness of this moment here with everything that includes. And beginning to bring that awareness to include the breath. Just feeling the sensation of the breath moving in the body without any judgment or changing of this breath. just becoming aware of it and observing the sensations of the breath with the full awareness of any areas in the body that may be asking for a little bit more attention, breath, and care today. And I'm going to invite an awareness to the sensations of the rhythm of your breath. And just noticing what's the rhythm of your breathing pattern today without changing it. Just becoming aware, are you breathing quickly? Are the breaths shorter and higher up in the chest? Are you breathing deep belly breaths, which take longer and are slower? Does it feel neutral? Are you unable to tap into a rhythm in the breath? All of these options are valid and can be what you're experiencing. And it's just about noticing, what does your breath rhythm feel like today? Or not feel like? And just taking a moment to really feel the breath. Moving in, moving out. And I'm going to bring us into a joint rhythm here of our breathing. I'm going to breathe in for 4 counts. Breathing in for 4, and then just breathing it out. And then I'm going to breathe in for 4 counts. And I'm going to hold my breath for 3 counts. And I'm going to release for 6. So I'm just going to walk us through that a couple times, just bringing us into the same rhythm of breathing together, while also always honoring what your own body is asking for and adjusting as necessary. So just take 1 breath in and out, let it go. Here we go, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4, and holding 1, 2, 3, releasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, and holding 1, 2, 3, and releasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time, breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 2, 3, releasing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just taking some breaths on your own, continuing that flow of rhythm if you'd like, or releasing that. And now I invite a placement of the hand on the chest space over the heart and a hand on the belly space. And tuning in from this awareness of breath to an awareness of the rhythm of the heart. The heart is connected to our breathing, but we often don't look at it when we're exploring this breath awareness. But breath is what is bringing oxygen to our heart and allowing it to continue beating. So if you feel able to today, tune into your heartbeat. Notice your pulse. What's the rhythm of your heart? You can do this if you'd like by checking your pulse on your wrist or your neck, or staying with the hand on the heart space and just feeling in to your heart rhythm. If you don't feel your heart physically beating, can you tune into the idea of it and just the knowledge that it is beating? If you are here right now in this moment, your heart is beating a rhythm. And just breathe with whatever rhythm of your heart. And moving forward, we're going to carry this intentional awareness of the breath and the heart rhythm to inform us in our movement today, in finding the rhythms in the body stemming from the breath and exploring what these feel like as inspirations for movement. I'm going to pass it over to Alisa now to bring us through a body scan.
Wonderful. Feels really good to tap into that movement of the heart. Took a few minutes for me to really find it. As we begin to scan through our body, I invite you to see if you can keep your awareness on this rhythm that you found. Just as the heart is in the center of our body, it is moving the blood through our veins throughout the entirety of our system. So this rhythm flows through the whole rest of the body. And sometimes we can feel this pulse in different areas of our body as well. So if you'd like to keep your hands in the same place that was working for you throughout this scan, I invite that. Otherwise, you can just tune in through sensing within your body. So this body scan, I'm going to encourage you to begin in the center. Often we start at the top of the head or the feet, but since we've begun to draw attention to this central point of the heart, I invite you to start here. So if your hands are on your heart and you're feeling that beat of your heart, I invite you to tune into the sensation of the hands against your skin and the warmth that this might bring. Or any sort of other sensation. Perhaps your hands are cold. If you feel the need to bring a little warmth to them, you can rub them together or move them around a bit to bring the circulation. And then try again. So breathing in this warmth and breathing out through your mouth, releasing it into the space. Now, if visualizations or colors work for you, you might want to visualize a color here. So perhaps it's a warm color, an orange or a yellow or a pink. So if you can visualize this color and this warmth slowly growing a little bit bigger with each breath. So expanding from this heart center outwards towards your shoulders, your throat, your ribs, and your belly. Slowly letting it expand. And if it helps to move your hands to these different areas, I invite you to do this. You could try a little rubbing action as well, or just sitting and sensing. And equally, I invite you to feel this warmth in your back space. So back along the back of the neck, and all along the spine, the back of the ribs, and all the way down to your sacrum, so your lower back, down towards your hips, your belly, where your hips meet the chair, or if you're standing, feeling the support of your legs rooting down towards your feet. And if at any point you lose touch of that heartbeat or that warmth at the center, you can zoom back in and just return to that central point. And next I invite you to bring this warmth down each arm. So I'll start with my left shoulder and giving it a little rub. And I'm picturing this warmth going all the way down my arm to my elbow, my forearm, my wrist, my hand, and each finger. You can picture one finger at a time. And perhaps you feel this sense of light coming all the way out through each finger into the space. And when you're ready, returning to the center, you can follow this warmth down the other shoulder and all the way through the arm and the elbow, the wrist, the hand, and each finger. So feeling this light and warmth going out from the center through the arms. And then equally, you can feel this warmth going down from the center through the hips and into each leg. So if you'd like, you can start with whichever leg you choose. I'll start with my left leg. And you could just visualize it with your breath, or if you like to bring a bit of touch, you can give a gentle touch or rub to your leg, visualizing this warmth moving down your thigh, into your knee, and all the way down the lower leg, the calf, the ankle, the feet, and each toe. And just as the fingers, this light and warmth can be radiating out through the toes and out along the sole of the foot and the heel, grounding into the floor. And when you're ready, I invite you to do the same with your other leg. And if you feel like it's helpful to bring any small movements into this, I invite that as well. So grounding into the foot through that other leg, and then returning back all the way up the body to the center. And to finish, we're going to make sure to include our head and our neck. So breathing upwards through the throat and filling the throat space, the back of the neck, the head. If a little touch helps, you can do this. The ears, the face. Letting that jaw hang open, sighing outwards. Bringing that warmth from the chest all the way up to the crown of the head and feeling this expansion upwards into the space. So you might notice a little bit more length come into your spine as you root down through the feet or the sit bones. And if you feel like stretching your arms upwards or out to the side, this is encouraged. So starting to bring a little bit of movement into this. Feeling the warmth of the heart and the body radiating out through the limbs. And up through the head and the tailbone as well. So sometimes we talk about having 6 limbs rather than 4. So if you imagine that you have a tail coming up through the tailbone and another limb, which is your head. So all this warmth and light can be radiating out into the space. You might want to visualize these colors radiating out of your limbs and into the space. And you can draw in the space. And if you prefer to try standing, this is welcome. So moving through the space in a way that's comfortable for you, connecting to the breath and this feeling of warmth. If you feel a little too warm, you can always connect to the coolness of the space instead. If you feel any coolness in the air, I feel a little bit in my room. So it might feel good to begin to roll the wrists a little bit. You can roll the ankles. You can roll the head and the shoulders. So bringing some mobilization into these joints. And Claire is doing some great seated options. I'm going to pass things off to her so that she can lead you through the joint mobilization that she's doing from a seated position.
Wonderful. So I'm just finding some ways to wake up the joints of the lower half of my body And I really love this image that Alisa's been painting of it, this expansion and this radiating outwards. And so as I'm finding movement here in the lower body, I'm really just exploring the sensation of what does it feel to radiate outwards with the lower half of the body, which can often be forgotten sometimes when we're focused on movement, especially if we're seated, but it's a great opportunity because we're not weight bearing. So there's a bit more options of mobility here that doesn't require weight. And so I'm just finding gentle movements with my feet in different directions. So I'm sliding forwards and out to the side, and then exploring the in-between. So finding little circular motions, even a little bit back. How can I shift the weight on the seat, on my sits bones, to explore this range of motion that are in my hip joints? And an option standing, as Alisa is showing, is to really explore that front, side, and back. And again, doing what feels good in your body. So this can also be quite small. You don't have to be straightening the leg if you don't want. We can also just play with the opening from the hip without straightening of the leg. And I invite you, if you would like to, as you explore this, is beginning to lift the leg up in the forward motion and just noticing how that feels. With that breath, how can I send my breath in and all the way down and send it out through the soles of my feet, radiating my breath all the way down my body and through to create this sense of expansion. And I'm using my hands to support myself here. So being able to use the chair in any way that I need to just find different directions of expansion. And if you prefer to keep your foot on the floor, this is also a great option here. And I'm just playing around a bit with shifting this weight in the pelvis to help me lift up. Now I'm going to bring this down into the knees and just noticing a bit more the rotation of the knees. You can use touch here if you'd like, as Alisa has shown us a few times, is a great option of rubbing around the knee. Straightening and bending is also a clearer option of knee activation, but touch is a great way, and also just finding these subtle rotations in the knee joint side to side, and then moving that down to the feet. So I'm in the ankles now. And how can I expand in my ankle joints? And so for me, this means imagining space in my ankles and all the bones that make up this part of the body. Breathing in, feeling that sensation of the breath, aware of how that is encouraging blood flow down into the feet and the ankles to then circulate back up, and starting that process over. And I'm just going to explore some movement in the feet, the ankles to create space and expansion. And within this exploration, I'm going to bring my attention back to this idea of rhythm. How can my feet express rhythm the way that my heart does? So for me, I'm just going to play around with the different types of rhythm available to me in the lower half of my body. How do my knees feel rhythm? How do my hips? I'm just feeling free to make sounds and create noises. Is it a pitter patter? Can there be a stomp? Can there be a brushing? Rhythm can be any sort of momentum or cycle, but it can be interesting to put a sound to it or to have silence and notice what that form of rhythm feels like. So just beginning to explore this idea of rhythm in the body. And maybe rhythm doesn't look like a sound to you. Maybe it looks like a motion. So finding the rhythm of releasing the weight of the body down and bringing it back up and dropping it down. That's a rhythm as well. So what type of rhythm feels good in your body today? Now I'm going to allow this rhythm to start transitioning to the upper body and pass it over to Alisa to guide us in the upper half of the body's rhythms.
Wonderful. I was really enjoying playing with making some sounds with my feet. Yeah, so as we move up, it's very interesting what Claire was saying. We can make rhythm without sound. I guess it's more the idea of that internal rhythm. So yeah, I invite you to begin to explore this with the knees. So I'm shaking mine a little side to side. Do a little swing forward and back. What would it mean to create your own rhythm? Right, so a kind of fluid pattern that yeah, stays constant, right? I'm doing a little swinging here. But equally, we could try and bring a little bit of sound to these other areas through touch. So I'm gonna just pat my legs a little. There's doing a nice swishing motion. So we can draw our attention to the sounds that are made, as well as to the sensations that this sort of touch brings. So I'm bringing sensation to my thighs. I'm also bringing sensation to my hands. And I'm noticing the sensation in my ears, listening to that sound and hearing it reverberate in the space. I'm bringing this padding up to my hips. Do a slower version. Bring your hips to meet your hands. Yeah. Claire's doing some nice lifting with the hips. You could even experiment with coming into contact with the wall, for example, right? So what kind of sound can be created by maybe a sliding action, leaning against the wall, or bumping the wall, giving it a little hip butt. So sometimes when we're doing these solo dances, we can experiment with partnering with objects rather than humans and still bringing in this sort of interaction. All right, so I'm going to start to move this rhythm up to my belly. Hips and my belly, a little tap. The stomach can make some really nice drum sounds. And coming up to the ribs as well. I'm going to just experiment with using my fingers. So I can't hear quite as much when I do this, but I can definitely feel a pitter-patter rhythm. Claire's doing some brushing. That feels quite nice as well. If you take your fists, you can pat down along your lower back as well, or with your hands. And you can rub as well. So these are some of the warm-ups that we often do in our class. But today we're drawing attention to this rhythm and this quality of sound. Coming up to the chest, you might want to take a moment to find that heartbeat again. I'm noticing that my heart's much faster than it was at the beginning of class. And I feel much warmer. If you can find that heartbeat, you might want to experiment with following the beat of your heart with a bit of movement or tapping. It's challenging. You have to really listen. So I invite this and take as much time as you need. Breathing, connecting inwards. Sometimes when we begin to move quickly or make big movements, we lose sight of this internal connection. So always helpful to move back inwards. And I invite you to bring this movement up along your shoulders. I'm giving my shoulders a little rub because they're asking for it. But again, we can experiment with this rhythm. You can go all the way down along your arm and across the other side. The collarbones also make a bit of sound if you tap them. And then coming back along the top of the neck, I'm giving a little rub. It's making a bit of a scratching sound. And all the way up along the jaw and the face. You can make a little drum with your mouth too. There's lots of sounds that we can also make with our mouths, obviously. So if you'd like to make a little bit of sound into your space, that's invited, even if it's just sighing or yawning. There could be little rhythmic sounds like so it seems a bit silly, but it's a nice way of waking up the body and making some sounds into the space. And I invite you to touch and massage or tap all the way up along the head as well. Oh. And then doing any last movements that you feel your body's asking for. That helps to bring back this visualization from the beginning of class. I invite that. I'm sort of exploring feeling the weight of my body, letting myself kind of give into that weight with a bit of swinging. That can be a really nice release, side to side. This is what my body was asking for. And actually, as I swing, I can do a little tap on each side, bringing in a bit of a rhythm. And this could be a really small movement as well, or more of a side to side sway. So beginning to slow down whatever movement that you have in your body, little by little, until you feel yourself in relative stillness. And if you want to return to that internal heartbeat again, you're welcome. Taking a moment to notice what feels different from the beginning of class. And if there's any other movements that your body is asking for, you can take a moment to do that now. Or to sit in stillness. I think with that, time for the name game. What do you think, Claire?
Yeah, I think we can move into some games and just we'll bring our rhythm with us.
Yeah. So normally we, once we've warmed up, we do a game called the name game, where we share our name and a movement or gesture. And then there's a moment for that to be mirrored back to us. So we won't be able to see you, but we will give you a moment to share your own movement and speak into the space. So we welcome you to do this. Claire and I will begin to give you an idea of how it works. So my name is Alisa, and my movement will be...
Hi, Alisa. And then we can reflect back the movement that Alisa is sharing. And it can be any movement, whatever feels good in your body today. This makes me think of a heartbeat.
It's kind of like a little heart.
Finding that rhythm, that flow.
And if the
Beautiful.
arms or the hands aren't accessible to you, you can always do the slight side to side movement with the shoulders and the head. I think I was turning my head each way. So always options for modifications.
Wonderful. My name is Claire, and my movement is I'm doing a little knee bend here, just a gentle one. So you can always just bend your knees, just curve forward, whatever feels good.
And I'm doing a seated version. So if you're seated, you can still do this spinal action.
You can also do it side to side if it doesn't feel good to go forward and back.
And I should have said, hi, Claire.
And we encourage you to, as Alisa just did, acknowledge yourself. If you're in a space alone, we still encourage speaking out loud and saying your name and sharing your movement, and just taking that time to acknowledge yourself. And if you're working with a partner or doing this with others, then you can do and take turns to each say your name and do your movement. Sometimes I like to do it with my cat. She isn't here with me today, but sometimes it's nice to have a little companion that'll respond, even though she's not really aware of what I'm doing. But that can be yourself. So taking that space for yourself, we're going to offer some silence, and we're going to repeat some movements in silence as you find your own movement through your name. Amazing. And I think we're going to carry on with this style of game of offering movements and then doing them together, and allowing this concept of rhythm to really be present and influence us. And if you're ever losing that sense of rhythm, come back to the breath, because the breath is always there and can offer us this sensation of what it feels like to be in rhythm. And I've been noticing as we've moved through this class, what rhythm is beyond just sound or percussion, but there's a flow to it and a cycle. And even in the movements Alisa and I just shared, there's this continuity to them of repetition that finds this sustainability in the body. So that is just something to move forward with and ponder for yourselves and for ourselves. We don't have any answers or specific definitions here. It's just an offering for you as to what rhythm feels like in your own body and what it looks like to put that rhythm into motion in the different body parts. So on that note, I'm going to do some movement inspired by my heartbeat as to what my heartbeat feels like in other parts of my body. So I think my movement is going to be on my feet, but you can do it through your hands if you'd like. Alisa's got some great sound options. It's a little quiet here because I'm on a carpet, but there's a little muffled beat to it.
Wonderful. Okay. Trying to think. Okay. I'm gonna do, yeah.
Oh, we've got like a mind game. That's great. And this can also be done fluidly if that feels better in a body.
Yes, fluid might be nicer.
It's an interesting quality of movement though. That's quite satisfying for my body. It's not my natural tendency, so it's fun to challenge it. But also
Yeah,
finding our
it's
limits.
difficult to bring your elbows together. You don't need to. You could just do it with the hands.
Beautiful. Thanks, Alisa. So we'll do this again in silence to give you some space to find your own movements inspired by the rhythm of your heart.
So it's quite interesting to notice the difference between those really percussive movements and the more fluid ones, and noticing that they both actually have a rhythm. There isn't just a rhythm to the more staccato movements, or the movements that make a sound. It's just more, perhaps more obvious. And I think once we get some music going, this will be an interesting thing to notice. Once we have an external rhythm that we can hear, then we can play with different ways of interacting with it and sinking in with it. So I might get a song going. Does that seem like a good moment, Claire?
Yeah, that sounds great. And we're going to be doing a little bit of mirroring in this as we do at this point in time, of one person finding some movement and the other following along with that as is good in their body, or doing their own movement if that's not available to them. And today we're just going to see how the rhythm feels and just have some fun with the rhythm.
Sorry.
That's okay. The rhythm calls. All right, so here we Lovely, great percussions in that one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we should get another song going?
Yeah, we can do one more song here.
Yeah.
Just find a little more free flow rhythm this time. We'll have some more free dancing and just encouraging that. What does it look like to feel your rhythm of your body through your whole body? Using all the different techniques we've gone over today, the breath, tuning into the heart, feeling any sensations, noticing the space that you're in. Are there any natural rhythms you're noticing in your space, like a clock ticking, for example? Any sort of rhythm that's inspiring you today. And we'll just dance with that.
Is that a good level?
Oh, the sound cut out on my end. I don't know if that's just me though. There we go, it's back.
I muted myself.
Just take this moment to move in any way that you need to. Looking away from the screen and just moving as feels good. And then coming back together here. tune back into that breath. Just feeling that external rhythm from the music as it fades into the internal rhythm in the body. Taking a moment as the movement quiets down to just place your hand on your heart and on your belly, tuning into these two natural rhythms available to us at any time in the heart and in the breath. And begin to just notice, how does your body feel right now? And what does the rhythm of your body feel like right now? And I notice my heart is pounding faster than it was in the beginning, and it's easier to feel with my hand. And I also notice that my breath is a bit deeper into my diaphragm, into my belly space. Just noticing for yourself how it feels for you. There's no right or wrong answer. There's just what it is in this moment. And being present with that. And if there's any final movement that your body is asking for, allowing this now. Reaching or stretching, feeling the breath present with you, the beating of the heart supporting you. Making sounds feels good. Sighing, releasing that air. I invite that. I'll pass it over to Alisa to close us out today.
Wonderful. Sit on my chair, but you can stay standing if you prefer. I just invite us to take a few shared breaths as a group, if this is comfortable for you. So either breathing outwards or upwards from the center, feeling that expansion from the beginning of class, and out through the center. You can let your head hang forward and release forwards. Take a little shake if that's comfortable before rolling up through each vertebrae. And let's do that once more. Breathing inwards, pushing down through the feet and the sit bones if you're seated. Exhaling to lean forward once more. You don't need to go very far. You can just rest your hands on your lap and let your head hang if that's more comfortable than going all the way down. And taking a moment to feel your breath expanding in your ribs and your back space here. And again, slowly rolling up through each vertebrae. The head is the last thing to come up. Looking around, taking a moment to see your space, noticing one color, one texture, and one sound, and if you can, one scent. And then returning to the virtual space that we're sharing today. And I'll just take a moment to do a closing gesture, and we can each share our own in the space. My closing movement or gesture will be so you can repeat it and mirror it back. I'll give Claire a moment if she has a gesture she'd like to share.
And I'm just continuing that release down the body.
And we'll just take a quick moment of silence for you to share any movement or sound that you'd like to into the space to feel like you're bringing the session to a close. Or if you prefer to sit in silence and listen and feel your heart, that's also welcome. And with that, we'd like to thank you for joining us today and exploring some rhythm. We'll be doing a live class next Wednesday at the regular time. So if you'd like to join us for some live dancing, we'll see you then. And go gently into your day.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Bye.